So it's time for you to buy a new pickup truck and you're wondering, should you get the 3-liter V6 EcoDiesel with your new Ram 1500? This is a 2020 Ram 1500 Rebel. We're going to be looking at that along with a couple things that we did not discuss in the last two episodes we've done on the new generation Ram 1500. But first off, let's talk about this engine and how it compares directly to the only other half-ton pickup we've driven with a diesel. That was the 2019 Ford F-150 with their 3-liter Power Stroke turbo diesel engine. Now, what's the difference? That Ford did 250 horsepower at 3,250 RPM, 440 pound-feet of torque at 1,750 RPM. He used a 10-speed transmission and would get 10.4 liters in the city or 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway. We didn't do independent testing for that, so I can't tell you what it did on our test loop. We did that starting the week after we had that F-150. This 2020 Ram 1500 with the EcoDiesel has 260 horsepower at 3,600 RPM, so higher up in the rev count, but a little bit more power, and 480 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM, so it comes on a little earlier, and there's 40 pound-feet more of it. This is the third generation EcoDiesel from FCA. It has more torque and horsepower, and they say it minimizes noise, vibration, and harshness levels with this generation. They use a water-cooled turbo, redesigned cylinder head intake parts, an updated dual-loop exhaust gas recirculation system, and the compression ratio has gone up from 16.5 to 1 to 16 to 1. The as-tested price for this vehicle is $76,745 Canadian. There are a number of options on this. It's not fully loaded. We did do the Rebel last year, so you can find out everything you want to know about that trim by clicking the link in the top right corner of your screen, or wait until the end. And if you want to know absolutely everything to know about this generation Ram 1500, you can see the video we did last year on the Ram 1500 Limited. But there's two reasons why you're going to buy the diesel. Either you just love having a diesel or you need it for towing. This vehicle does have best-in-class towing for a half-ton pickup truck. You can configure it to get up to 12,500 pounds of towing. Compare that to the F-150, the max you can get was 11,400 pounds. Let's say towing doesn't matter to you, you want maximum payload. With the Ram, that goes up to 2,040 pounds. For the best you can get with the F-150, it's only 1,900 pounds. That's the difference between those. We haven't driven the Chevy Silverado or GMC Sierra with the diesel in that, so I'm not going to talk about it, but those two vehicles would get slightly better fuel economy than what's boasted by this Ram. On paper, the Ram is in the middle, the Ford being the least efficient, the Chevy GMC being the most, but once the 2021 F-150s start rolling out, they will have new power numbers for that Power Stroke 3-liter turbo diesel, and we'll be able to see where it lands up. But we're going to be talking a little bit more about the fuel economy on our road test. I do want to mention some of the differences with this over the other two Rams that we featured. We're now driving the quad cab instead of the crew cab, so there is less space in the rear area there. Probably not super comfortable for adults. I personally cannot fit behind myself if I were to drive and also be a passenger in the back seat, so ideal for kids, not so much for adults. We do have the bigger bed on this, the 6-foot 4-inch one. You have more space back there if you want to be able to put things in the bed. We also have the tri-fold tonneau cover on it. And what's new for us here is the multifunction tailgate. It is an interesting take on the tailgate. You can open it up either the regular style or you can open it up in a barn door style, making it easier to get into the bed if you need to get up there. Since the bumper is easily accessible, you can just step up on that and get into the bed. I'd say it's a much easier setup than what the Ford does, where you have to pull out the little handle and the step and everything and get it all done that way. This is a nice way to do it. So if you absolutely want to have that functionality, they do have it. But the best thing about driving a diesel is driving the diesel. So let's get behind the wheel now of this truck and go over everything else you need to know if you're in the market for a $76,000 half-ton pickup truck and you're curious if you should go with the diesel. Let's talk fuel economy numbers right off the bat. We did our 100 kilometer test loop in 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, as I mentioned, we did not have that set up when we did the 2019 Ford F-150 Platinum with the Power Stroke turbo diesel, so I don't have a number to give you for that. But 8.5, that's like really good for a large SUV. Even some of the mid-size SUVs kind of get around that point, and this is a half-ton pickup truck. So the diesel does really well. Most of that test loop, though, is in the highway. We are now at 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's an extra 57 kilometers that I've driven since we've done that test loop. So that number has already gone up doing in-town stuff. You can get an idea of what the fuel economy will be for this vehicle. And it's one of the reasons why you're going to be buying this, even though as of filming this, diesel isn't necessarily the cheapest option when it comes to fuel. It really depends on where you go. Here in Quebec, last I saw it was actually a little cheaper at one specific gas station that I drove by to get diesel over regular fuel. So you have to weigh the odds with that. At the end of the day, though, I think the people who are going to be buying this EcoDiesel are diesel enthusiasts. They aren't going to care, no matter what, to get this over the gas. They're going to be buying this regardless. But it's the people out there who aren't the diesel enthusiasts, that's who I'm talking to in this episode, because I want to explain to you some of the other benefits of having this diesel. And it is fuel economy, it is the towing, and it is the payload. Depending on what you want to do with your truck, you can do that all with the Ram. There's a specific way that you can configure the Ram to get both max payload and max towing. But the way that this one's configured, because we've got the four-wheel drive system on here and it's not the tradesman, so we've got extra tech and stuff on here, both of those numbers are lower. But even for day-to-day use with this vehicle, if you're buying a truck because you like the feel of it, you like the space, you go for the Rebel because you want some of that, you know, kind of sportiness to it. Yeah, the interior here is very nice. You've got the exterior design that looks a little bit more rugged than you would get on the other trims from Ram. Then you've got that with this diesel engine, and it works really well. I mean, again, one of the things about buying a new diesel today is it really doesn't feel like diesels of the past. You don't have to wait 40 minutes for it to warm up. I mean, this truck starts instantly, and I know it is warm out, so we wouldn't normally have that issue, but you don't have to worry about the glow plugs or anything. It does everything for you. The only thing is there is no engine brake on this, so you can't use that to slow down, but we wouldn't really expect that. Now, the other reason why you buy a diesel is for that sound. Let's see if we can hear it. If I put it into tow haul mode, I hope you can hear it. Close the window. Oh yeah, you can hear the turbo. Oh, it sounds good. If you're in town, if there's some echo going around, you can hear the engine. The same thing we talked about when we had the Ram 2500 or the F-150 with the Power Stroke. It's not so much the exhaust in the stock setup, it's the engine that gives you that sound. So I'm sure some people are going to be deleting the emissions control systems on these vehicles and get some more power out of it and some more sound. But even as it is configured from the factory, you still have an enjoyable experience and a good sound coming from it, even though they do a great job. That was one of the things we talked about outside. The engine noise control on this vehicle is really good. You can hear it, but not that much. It's almost a negative because you want to hear that diesel sound. The thing is, it comes down to what you ultimately want your truck to do. If you are looking for those numbers, whether it's bragging rights or because you really do need to tow 12,500 pounds worth of stuff, then this is the way to go. If you're looking for maximum fuel efficiency and you're not necessarily towing or hauling a whole lot, then maybe the GMC or the Chevrolet will be the way to go, since the fuel numbers are just a little bit better on those vehicles. But we have to wait now, because the 2021 Ford F-150 was announced not very long ago. They have not released the numbers for those engines yet. We have to assume that there will be an update to all the engines giving a little bit more power. There's no reason why Ford would hold off on giving out those power numbers unless they've made some changes to it. So we'll probably see that the new 3-liter Power Stroke in the F-150 will have at least the same amount of power that we have with this, but I kind of suspect if you're going to be competing directly with this, Ford's going to come out with just a little bit more. So we'll have to wait and see, and we will be reviewing it. But it almost doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I mean, I saw the interior of the F-150, it's nice and everything, but the Ram still exceeds expectations when it comes to the interior, even though this is not the full Unlimited or even the Laramie Longhorn that we featured before in the 2500. This Rebel interior is really nice. Loaded up, get some of the other features that we don't have on this specific press car, and you're in business. I mean, this truly is a luxury class interior on a pickup truck. And it wasn't until I finally drove these vehicles that I understood why people are willing to drop so much money on a pickup truck like this and not actually do a whole lot of pickup truck stuff with it, because the interior here is really, really good. This would be the one I would take. I would get the Laramie Longhorn, get the diesel, everything else pretty much the way I would do it here. A couple of extra options. I do like ventilated seats, but if it's my money, I'm buying it. I'm taking this Ram.